Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar. Today we'll be running through the key new features in the latest release. I'm Ollie, if you don't recognise my voice, and we've got Joe and I think Mike will be on the live chat today as well. So any feedback during or after the session, please don't hesitate to ask away. Okay, so in terms of what we're going to be running through then, I'm just going to change the screen over. So the key talking points, so we're going to be running through the new proof of delivery app. So quite a high anticipated kind of release, this one for the app. So basically being able to confirm dispatch notes by a signature on your phone, transfer through then to Prima Cloud and confirm the dispatch notes. So I'll be running through that a little later. CTS, a new supplier on board with EDI, so I'll go through that as well. The new mailer import, so basically now you can import your own mailers. You can also have that now set to a margin or markup option, as well as the standard selling price that it previously was traditionally set up as. History improvements, so in your history columns now in Prima, so whether you're in a contract, whether you're on the price check, the new history column would just be literally the contract option, and it'll tell you whether it's on contract, if it's on contract with a selling price or as a margin already, so I'll go through that as well. The new company creation options, so now when you click new record and company, you've got much more options you'll be able to see on screen, so you can basically filter out exactly what you want in your sales guys or sales support, whoever it may be, setting up the companies, and you can also set the kind of required sections as well. So if you have to have a customer offer assigned to them, if you have to have an account manager, etc., we'll go through that as well. New sales quote reports, so there's a competitor quoting, which is also in addition to the sales quote line, is an option to enter a competitor price. So it's really good with the first phase of the release. Is basically you can build a quote full of kind of competitor quotes, and then from the report then you'll be able to see a saving, you'll be able to see the products, what they're paying, what they'll be paying now, and see that information on the quote, and also by classification as well. So being able to, rather than reordering the quote yourself, you can now go to the report, go to the classification option, and it will then display all your adhesive and tapes together, all your computer software together, and so on. Also improvements to stock reordering. So in the stock reordering now you've got two options, which I'll show you shortly, in where you can either have kind of a maximum level or maximum desired level, so you always want to have 50 in stock at all times, and also a level where it's basically saying if it hits this level, order me another lot of X, Y, and Z. So I'll go through that as well. So first of all then, the proof of delivery app. So I'll just run a quick video so you can see effectively how it would work. So if I just pull that up. Okay, so just ignore the Egyptian king there. So see there the Prima Pod app. Open that, and if I just pause it on this screen, so effectively what would happen here is from Prima, you'll have your list of manifests created, which I'll go through briefly as well today, and also another session in future. But basically you would have a list of dispatch notes assigned onto one manifest. From there then you would assign it to your driver, which the driver would then be logging into the app. So as an example, my username of Oliver is assigned to this app, so when I come onto the app I'll be able to see straight away if there's a manifest which I can open, which there is. If there's not, it'll prompt you with the option to say load manifest, and if there's nothing loading, it could be the case you've got no data on your phone, no connection, or it could be the case that you just don't have any manifest assigned to that particular driver that's logged in. If, as an example, some customer have queried what happens if you've got no data at the time of signature or when trying to collect the route, then when you do have a connection, you can click the sync manifest, and that'll then basically bring that up for you. So there's ways around it as well. So if I just click play on that again, you can then see the list of dispatch notes that are on that manifest as well. So what the dispatch note number is, how many products are on the dispatch note, company name, location, etc. And you can also enter in here delivery notes. So what I've entered in there is the pod notes. Then I clicked on get signature. Your customer would then sign on the app, and then click save. And then you can hit complete or save and skip if again you didn't have any connection, you needed to update that later on. So that is now completed, and that would then date and time stamp in Prima, and also transfer the information and signature through to the system. So if I just switch that over to that particular manifest, so I'll go through the manifest actually before coming on to that. So effectively what you would do in your daily kind of process is build your dispatch notes as normal. So go into available lines, creating dispatch notes, and you would then have a list of dispatch notes. in this section of movement still and manifests, this is then when you're going to be deciding kind of what route and what van the deliveries are going to go on to. So this top outstanding one is the one that I've created previously, and again I will cover this in a different webinar session in the future, but what you would do is go to available lines, and this is now from the manifest point of view, showing you all the dispatch notes that are available to then be put onto a manifest. So you can search on your depot, your van route, etc. Click search, and then you can see then a list of dispatch notes. You can see the dispatch note number. So as I was saying there about the van routes, there could be setup required if you're going to be using van routes, or if there's one set with no van route, you can manually say, right, okay, for these 3 deliveries here, I want to order it in this way. So there is flexibility in terms of being able to arrange a route as well. So if it was the case, it was, as an example, this one on the northeast route, you can highlight multiple ones, which you would do, but just in this example, you'd hit create notes, and then that then gives you the option to either add this particular delivery note onto an existing one, or you can then create a new manifest altogether. So you can do it by van routes, so what I was saying there, by basically having preset van routes like the northeast, the north, the south, etc., and that would then list all those van route options with the delivery notes of those locations populated, and then you can just literally send it into the other area, which this section is then the outstanding manifests, which you can then assign to your drivers. So if you didn't have van route set up, it's just say no van route, number of notes 10 for example, and then you can say, right, okay, well I'm going to create a new one for those 5, create another one for the other 5, and then so on. So then you would have then effectively your list of manifests in this grid. So this one here that I created earlier, which is just on my other screen. So from here now you can see the driver is myself, and what you would do then is assign the driver, plan your route, and then click load. That's now in a loading status already, so you can see that information, so you can see where the deliveries are, who the companies are, and the information. And then from there now, as I've completed that earlier at 10:53, you can then see the delivered time and date. If you wanted to see the signature and the information, you can click into the note, which has just gone onto the screen again, so just drag that over, and you can see there then the signature, date and timestamp, and also your info as well, so the notes that the drivers put onto there as well. Okay. What you can also do from the manifest, so when you're planning your route, you've got the option here to move up and down. So as an example, I've done this one first, but I may have wanted to do that one last, so I could have moved that down to the bottom depending on the driver's preference. You can see via the Google map, if you've set your coordinates against a location, exactly where kind of Google are advising you to go. So Google advised to go to number 1, which is dispatch note 10607, and so on, and you can from there say, actually I want to do that one last because I'm going to be going home over here. You can then rearrange the route from there as well. So yeah, so that's the pod app. Any questions on the pod, you can either email training@primasoftware.co.uk, set up a private demo, or go through kind of what's required to have it as well. We've got a little fact sheet together as well, which we can provide to you as well. Okay. Next one. So CTS, a new supplier using EDI with Prima. So really good move. So it's just showing the commitment to help customers gain a competitive advantage, and it just through the use of automation and another EDI option for you to use as well. So I've got a few key facts from my point of view, but again, from a kind of customer point of view, supplier point of view, there may be different kind of facts that are more powerful, such as 250,000 cartridges always in stock. There's loads of different things in terms of selling points, but just kind of some key information. The cut-off for the EDI is 6 o'clock for next day deliveries. They've also got very competitive pricing on the Rico OEM, and also they've already got the Fusion enhanced product file as well, which quite a lot of the customer base are using already too. Over 3,500 SKUs, from toner to an ink to a ribbon, and also they've got a great outstanding customer service with a variety of next day, drop ship and key drop delivery services available as well. So if you're wanting to get some information from CTS, or contact us, we can put you in touch with the relevant people there too. So really positive move as well from both sides there. Next one, so back to the key talking points, is the mailer import routine, and also the option to have it as a margin or markup mailer too. So panning back to the live screen, and I have got the mailer import open here. So what you would have is the columns here. So the PG name would be the mailer name. So as an example here, I've got test mailer Ollie, and that's what it's going to be inserted into the database with. This PG code, you just leave that blank. That's just something the system would enter for you anyway. The start and end date would need to be year, month, day, so 2018 of the 4th 4, and so on with the end date as well. So when the kind of pricing, etc., is going to expire on this mailer. You can then enter in your standard code in Prima, and also the mailer code that your customers would be using for the item. You can put in your invoice description, unit, which would be numerical, so rather than it being an each, it would be 1. And then from this option now, the new kind of options in the mailer import would be the fact that you can have a pricing rule. So if it's going to be S for standard selling price, that would be, and M for margin or markup. When I say margin or markup, that just totally depends on what you've got set in your admin, so it's margin or markup. If it was S, for example, you'd enter in your price, save it as a CSV file, and then import that into Prima. As it's an M, I'm then going to put into this column what percentage margin or markup I'm going to be making on this item. Also insert your page number, and then once you're happy with the template, which again, contact customer services and we can send you over a copy of it, and it will be on our help site too. Basically then you can save it as a CSV file, drop it into the imports using the same routine as you do for contracts, for catalog importing, and that would then import as a mailer in the system, which I'm pretty sure I've done this one already. So in your mailers, look up here. Yeah, there's the one. So what you can also do now in the mailer is, if for example you wanted to change it in the system, so you may have had 50 items in the mailer and you're thinking actually for these ones I'm wanting to switch them over to sell price, you can now change the pricing rule and say okay, set that to standard pricing and change the price to be X, Y and Z. So from there then you can either have the option for standard pricing and markup margin, so not just in the contract area now, you can also use that from your mailers as well, which is a really good feature. Okay, the next one, so I'll keep switching back to the key talking points to see where I'm up to. So history improvements, there's now an extra column on there. So as I mentioned earlier, so if I went into price check or the sales quote and the history button, or again the contracts, then what you have got now from the history, so if I go to price history and run a search, oh, might help if I put a company in actually. So search for my test company, run a search, and then scrolling across to the right, which you can customize the grid, you can then see on contracts. So straight away then you can see actually over this period by item, or if I did it consolidated, in fact probably better, you can see right, well we've had this 73 times over this year period, oh yeah, they are on contracts. If it wasn't on contracts, that's then a prompt, then you can go ahead and add it to the contract. So if it was kind of contract management, it would be better from the contract screen, because then you've got the option to add items to contracts, whereas from this price check option it's just literally a view and you can create orders and quotes and get a quick price from there. So really good, you can see if it's a standard selling price, if it's not on contracts, and also if it's a margin item as well already on the contract. So really good improvement to the history columns in Prima. Okay, new company creation options. So what you have got now, when you go to the new record and company, you've then got these extra options. You can see there straight away, I think off the top of my head, from about here upwards was the standard kind of company record when you were creating. So they've extended that so you can add in a location straight away. You don't have to, you can make it mandatory in the admin if you wanted to, but you don't have to do that. So as an example, you're setting up your company, type in your account code, company name, and then from here then you've got extra options. You can say straight away, rather than opening the company, then go into the products and pricing and saying they're on the gold customers list or they're on the prospecting customer offer, you can do it from this screen, assign all the information and then create and open. If you've not entered the information that's mandatory set up in your admin, which I'll go through in a second, it would then prompt you to say, right, okay, you need to enter who the account manager is. So it stops creating companies without the information that you're wanting to see in your database. So if I just log into the admin, so straight away that customer offer one, as an example, is something new into this this area. So going into system keys and then company defaults, and then from this list then, the ones that say mandatory on company creation, you can say, right, okay, well actually on company creation, I want customer offer to be mandatory, so they can't actually create the company without giving them an offer. So from there, then I can say, right, okay, make sure that's compulsory, click yep, save, and then if they try to create the company without that, then it would prompt them and say you need to give them a customer offer before creating. So again, really good move, good work by development on that one. Okay, so switching back to talking points again. So the next one is the sales quote reports, which is 2 of them. There's competitor quoting and also by classification as well. So within the sales quote now, as I was saying earlier, you've got the option to add in a competitor price. I have that open already? Oh, there it is. Okay, so open the product line that you're wanting to update. Connection in here is not the best, so go into the quote line and you can see there the competitor price. So from there then you can enter this information against each line, and then when you produce the report you can then see what the kind of saving on each item. So as I was saying there, in the first phase of this release you would need to have a competitor price for that report to use to work in its kind of full capacity, so it would show then the saving that they're making. So if we go into competitor quote, so I'll go with the standard one with no images. And then from there, then if I just make that on the big screen, you can see straight away what your price is, what your competitor price is, and what they're saving. And then scrolling down, you can see total saving and what the total of the order is. So it's a really good way of quoting on customers and competitors' prices too. So it's a good way of showing customers that they'll be getting a better deal through you. So it's a really good kind of selling tool as well that's been added into the quote section. Okay, next one was the classification. So if I view that one with images, and you can see that, so it's breaking down the quote by the classification and ordering it up so it looks a bit neater basically, so it's not kind of scattered around. Maximize that and you can see what the classification is, computer software, what the item is, and so on. You can see that information on there as well. If your reports don't look like this, these are basically the new reports that Prima have inserted in, so if you're interested in updating them, again just contact training and that, and we'll be happy to help you. Okay, so switching back to key talking points. So last one on the talking points is the stock reordering improvements. So on that one, if I just quickly change around the screen. Oh, that's the one. Okay, so as an example against this product, what you can now do, so if you go to warehouse locations and levels, select your depot and the order levels, and then what you can do now, you've got 2 sections here. So rather than having minimum, reorder and maximum was the previous 3 kind of options, you've now got it split into 2 types, so type 1 and type 2, and you can also now say well, choose an option for each one. So this one on the right hand side as an example is satisfying the maximum level, so I don't want any more than 50 in stock at any time, but when it hits 10, order me another 40, sorry. So this one is getting to this level. So if the order level was 10 but it managed to get down to 7 before it was noticed, then basically that would then reorder the extra 43, for example, to get up to 50. This one works in a different way in terms of if it does hit 10, and this is then the order that's going to be raised for. So if you wanted when it hits 10 to order another 50 into stock, then effectively what you would have then is 60 if you kept the 10. So this one is what the order quantity is going to be. So as an example, if you're getting like a pallet of paper, for example, at 40, then rather than ordering 38 to get it up to the kind of maximum level, you can now say, right, okay, well, order me another pallet in and do it that way. You've also now got the reorder supplier, so you can, if it's blank, it will pick the preferred supplier, but you can now say, if there's multiple suppliers against it, you can say, right, well, actually, for stock orders, I want to take it from this supplier, and you can set that up. So if it was using the left hand side, you just need to enter those as 0, and it would then use your type 1 reorder level. Okay. Also in the requirements, which I've not got open, so we'll just go into there. So when you're doing your stock reordering, there's also now improvements to actually see more information on there, so you can see, as an example, the minimum level, reorder level, and maximum level as well. Okay, so that's everything for the key talking points. So running through there, so I'll just do a recap, but we have got some little extras, little fixes and improvements that I'll be running through kind of vocally, but there is a whole kind of release notes section on our help site, which has got them all written down. But it's like, for example, one of those, if we just go back to that screen, would be the introduction of an FSM import template. So come back to that in a second, but summarising the talking points. So the POD app available on Android and Apple devices, and all you need to do is enter in, download it, enter in then your data reg key, which you'd have to come through customer services to get that, and also the username, which would have to be set up in your Prima 2. CTS suppliers now offering EDI, so another EDI supplier to have the option with for toners, for whatever it could be. New mailer import routine and the option to have mailers as margin or markup. History improvements, so an extra column to show whether it's on contracts or not, and also if it's on by margin or by sell price. New company creation options, so as I was running through earlier, you've got the options now to make certain fields mandatory, and you've also got the option now to add in some more information before you actually create the account and leave it kind of in the system. Also additions to the sales quote report, so competitor quoting and by classification, and also stock reordering improvements as well. So really good work from development on this release. Moving on to the little features, as I was saying then, the FSM import template is now available, so importing support contracts, etc. into the database. That's a really good one. If you want in that one, just contact Training again and we can discuss that one further. Logging in, so this is a really good one. Basically, if previously your Prima crashed, you had no connection, or you kind of disconnected your laptop, went out of the office and tried accessing Prima, then basically when you try and log in again, it would have prompted you to say user already connected from device X, Y and Z. What it would now do, if it recognises that there's nobody actually logged in, so there's not a kind of an active user session, it would then prompt you to say user already logged in, but do you want to kick them out, kind of thing. But that would only be if the user session is not active. So if it was the case your connection drops or something, so it's really handy. You don't have to go into the administration, kick yourself out. You can now just log back in and away you go. Delete an analysis report, so a little fix for this one would be now when you delete an analysis report in Prima, it would also remove the automated job in the administration as well. Option to show products is automatically available on the web if new on the catalogue. So in your admin you can basically say if there's any new items in the VOW, in the CTS, the spices, etc. catalogues, then what you can do is mark them as available on web straight away. So rather than having to run the grid manager and dictate which ones go on, the new ones can go on there straight away. The next one, so we've got another page of this, is basically now when you add an item onto your Prima Go, onto your contract list, rather than having to apply a revision, it will now show straight away. So you literally, in your quote or in your contract, you add lines to contract, it would then effectively straight away be on Prima Go. You don't need to go in there and apply a revision or anything like that. It's instant. On the zero integration with Prima, there was kind of a thing with too many transactions, whereas now that's been resolved by development. VOW EDI, there was an error code for PUN incorrect unit. That also has been resolved. And another really good one actually is the featured products now has a tick option within the product to take the contract price rather than the featured price. So I know customers have been saying, well, I know for a fact this item is on contract for Prima and they pay that price consistently, so they don't need a featured price on it. So what you can do now is take the option to say take the contract price over the featured price. So that's a really, really good feature as well. So that's pretty much everything for today's session. If you do have any questions or you'd like to see the release notes, we can send the release notes onto the live chat. But yeah, have a great weekend and we'll see you all next week.